Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. In the last video, I talked about karma in marriage and how each partner brings their own karma into the marriage, and then there's karma generated in the marriage. So part of the process of being married is sorting out those karmas and understanding, look, honey, this is yours. This anger that you have is your anger. You have to own it. When people get angry, they tend to blame. Why? Somebody says, why are you angry? You say, well, you said this, or you did that, and that made me angry. Now just look at that sentence. You made me angry. That's not the truth, is it? It is a quick way of deflecting, having to face our own anger and working on it. As soon as I say I'm angry because, I am relinquishing ownership of my own anger. It's your fault, not mine, that I'm angry. And that is in fact not true. Anger is personal. And until each of us owns our own anger and understands that we have to work on it ourselves, I have to get to the root of why I react with anger when my spouse says this or does that. If I don't own it and I try to project it or blame my partner, then I'm never going to work through it. So the first step is understanding that certain things are yours to work out in the marriage. Certain things are your spouse's to work out in the marriage. And certain things you have to work out together. But the ability to parse those three categories of what needs to be worked on is difficult in the confusion that results from all the things we have to deal with in day-to-day life. Let's look at what the Lavan has to say about how we get through all of this. Often when I serve as minister at a wedding, I will ask the couple getting married to read the Lavan together and go through it together and understand it together. For many people when they get married, it's the first time they've heard the Lavan. Or maybe they're aware of it or they've heard it at a wedding, but they don't know what it means. But if you really want to have a spiritual marriage, you have to have a touchstone for your marriage. And the touchstone for our marriages is the Lavan. So the Lavan is not just casual. The Lavan is the blueprint for a successful marriage. So in the first round, what does the Lavan say? In the first round of the marriage ceremony, you make a firm commitment. You make a firm commitment to married life. That's the very first thing Guruji tells us about being married. That you must be 100% committed. When you enter into a marriage with the thought, if it doesn't work out, we'll get a divorce, or, we can just call it quits. That lack of commitment to the marriage is the first point of failure in a marriage. Because when you marry someone, you're really not marrying the person. You're marrying the marriage. And that is what commitment means. So in the first round of the marriage ceremony, you make a firm commitment to family life in the presence of beloved Ram. Every line in the Lavan ends with Balramjio. That's what's so beautiful. Because it's saying that you are making this commitment before God and Guru, before the Sadhsangat. You are publicly committing. So in addition to that private internal commitment, you're committing before God and Guru and everyone, announcing that you are making that commitment. So beginning of the Lavan is commitment. Then, once you've said, I'm committed to this marriage, the Guru gives us the next guidepost. The Gurbani contains the Dharma of Brahm, as in the Vedas. And it removes all separation from God in the presence of beloved Ram. Each line is sealed with Balaram Jiva. So in the second line in the Lavan, it tells us that if we follow Gurbani and stay connected to Gurbani in our marriage together, that this will lead us to live a dharmic marriage. Now, what does it mean to live a dharmic marriage? Well, look at the mechanics of the Lavan itself. When you're married, you walk those rounds around Guru Granth Sahib Ji. In walking those rounds, you are basically committing to the Guru being the center of your life, your married life. So you know, when you're single, maybe it's easier to do a spiritual discipline, easier to do Amrit Vela. You know, it's just you and your own consciousness. But what the second line of the Lavan is saying is that if we follow Gurbani in our marriage, and we live by Gurbani in our marriage, and we make that touchstone all the time and connect to that touchstone all the time, then our marriage will naturally flow into becoming a dharmic marriage. So what is a dharmic marriage? Well, the Lavan, the marriage ceremony, the actual marriage ceremony shows it. You know, you walk around the Guru is the center. Your life, married life, orbits the Guru. And it orbits the Guru in the company of the Sadhsangat. The Sadhsangat is your support. That's the template for a spiritual marriage. But what happens in actuality is that the Sangat very often doesn't prove to be the support that Guruji has indicated it should be. Sometimes our families backbite, gossip, pressure. We may have in-law problems. We may have arguments outside of husband and wife with other members of the extended family. The Sadhsangat that's supposed to be there for support and to provide resources to the married couple often don't fulfill that purpose. So I think that when you're married, you have to find your own Sadhsangat. It may not be your blood family. Your Sadhsangat may lie elsewhere. But without people who support you and give you that loving, Gurmat-oriented relationships, advice, compassion, caring, all of those things, it becomes much more difficult. Dharma is in the name of Hari. Meditate on the name as taught in the Smritis. You notice how the Lavan harkens back to the Vedas and the Smritis. You know, there's been, I don't know what I'd call it, a purging of so-called Hinduism from Sikh Dharma. But in fact, it's a plant with roots, and those roots are real. So even our gurus acknowledge that the knowledge of the Vedas, the knowledge of the Smritis, has come through to us and is part of our chain. And even often Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib Ji is called Siddhi Ved because it contains everything you need to know. You don't need to go back and read the Vedas and the Smritis, but the audience that Guruji was talking to at that time were familiar with the Vedas and the Smritis. And even if they weren't, understanding that the technology of meditation on Nam is ancient and is the key to not just a successful marriage, but a successful life as well. The true Guru is perfect and removes your separation from the One. Now, isn't that a beautiful thing? The true Guru is perfect and removes your separation from the One. The true Guru is perfect and removes your separation from the One. If you allow him to do so. Now the Lavan doesn't say if you allow him to do so. It just says he removes your separation. And isn't that what we're all longing for? We're longing not to feel separated from the One. The next line says, it's your destiny to live in peace and bliss and love the Nam. Hari Hari is sweet to me. Servant Nanak says that the first round begins the marriage ceremony. So the end of the first round ends with, it's your destiny, it's your birthright to live in peace and love and experience Nam in your marriage. So this first round tells us three things. You have to commit unreservedly and wholeheartedly to married life. You have to follow the teachings and the principles of Gurbani in your life, which will flow naturally if you're aligned with them. And third, it's your birthright to be happy in a marriage. It's your destiny. It's written. You can do it. We'll go into the second round of the Lavan in the next video.